On September 11, 2001, Flight 93 was headed toward the White House and was hijacked by 4 terrorists. That day, the group named Al-Qaeda took over 4 planes and flew into 3 buildings, including the Twin Towers in New York and the Pentagon, in order to kill and harm innocent people. The 4th plane, Flight 93, was supposed to crash into the White House, but flight attendants and passengers on board took over the plane. Everyone on board died, but they saved hundreds by stopping the terrorists who wanted to kill everyone in the White House. This is a story of triumph and tragedy.
The whole takes about, looks like 6-7 floors were taken out. And there's more explosions right now. Hold on, people are running.
Hold on just a moment. We got an explosion inside.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street.
This just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers.
In order to understand why 9/11 happened, it is important to understand the people who planned the attack. The group behind 9/11 was called Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda's purpose is to use force against the governments that are not Muslimic. It was founded in 1989 by Osama bin Laden. Al-Qaeda means the base, and they had its home base in Afghanistan and Pakistan until 1991 when it moved to Sudan. It moved back to Afghanistan in 1991. Al-Qaeda members suspected of being disloyal were killed. People recruited into this group had to do whatever the leaders said, and many were brainwashed. Members would have to be willing to risk their lives and even die to beat this most dangerous group called Al-Qaeda. On September 11th, all 4 planes left between 7:59 and 8:42 a.m. United Airlines Flight 93 was the last one of the planes, and it took off from New York to New Jersey, heading toward San Francisco. Around 7 a.m., United Airlines crew prepared for Flight 93 IDAS. Stores opened for business in Shackville, PA, and the hijackers checked in for their flight at New York Airport. 7:20, the boarding call for Flight 93 is heard from about 7:39 to 7:48. The hijackers boarding the plane next to the other passengers and flight attendants. They sit in first class, so they are close to the cockpit. Once on board, they review the plan called The Last Night. This was instruction sheet saying when the hijackers would begin. It started by saying, "Embrace the wall to die, and renew elegant, familiarize yourself with the plan, and adapt to the reaction and resistance of the enemy." 8:01, Flight 93 leaves the terminal, 1 minute behind schedule. The recording device on the plane begins, which allows us to hear them talking on the plane. The plane takes off at 8:42 a.m. By this time, 2 other planes had been hijacked, and one already hit one of the Twin Towers at 8:50. President George W. Bush informed while he was reading to children in Florida schools. By 9:19 a.m., the second tower has already been hit at the United Airlines. Dispatcher began to send warnings out to the 16 flights he is in charge of. The pilots of the Flight 93, Captain Deal, goes and gets the warning until 9:26. 9:28, the hijackers are wearing red bandanas around their foreheads and breaking into the cockpit, causing the plane to drop 685 feet in altitude.
United 93, Cleveland. United 93, Cleveland.
The captain of the first officer radio message Mayday, and later the message saying, "Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here." Flight control are worried about the altitude change and move of the plane out of the area. 9:32, a hijacker makes an announcement saying, sit down, stay seated, we have a bomb on board, sit down." He then programs the autopilot to fly toward the White House. 9:34, Flight Altitude starts to call airlines to get more information about Flight 93 hijackers. She reports to the airlines that members from Al-Qaeda already have bombs.
Hi, the captain. I would like to
and they have already killed a flight attendant, and they have pulled out a knife, and there was a series of 37 calls to the air fronts and other places. 9:45, they started evacuating the White House because they heard response to rumors that Al-Qaeda is planning an attack on the White House. This was the first time that they ever had to evacuate from the White House. They started making series of phone calls from families and friends and saying that they have been hijacked and they love each other back and forth. They thought of a plan to take back the plane. So they started to get the plane back and beating and taking the hijackers out, but it was too late and the plane exploded and everyone died, but they saved more people in the process. How the people reacted to the attack is scared and that they will die, and how and why is this happening? They watched the planes line up and hit the Twin Towers and Pentagon, and they thought they were dead. On Flight 93, flight attendants and passengers fought back, took over the plane, and saved the White House, but it was too late for them. The plane crashed and they all died in the process, but they were remembered as heroes that saved the White House. Over time, this attack on September 11 led up to hating Islamic people, and it made everyone hate Islam's people. And then this led up to wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and made everything even worse, leading up to the United States getting involved in the war. So then Al-Qaeda made a plan and attacked on the U.S. to harm and kill innocent people. So then this led up to getting people killed. So this can even lead up to more wars with Iraq and even Afghanistan. It might cause a chain reaction and more might even happen.